too. I know. Back so soon. All right. Well, anyways, I've been good. How are you? Let's not waste any time. Today, smoking a joint, old fashioned. My dad broke. Um, one of the cartridges broke, so I put it on the inside of this. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good for you. All right, let's get it going. All right. So talk about burn the time. Literally burn the time. Um, shit that's going on this week. Uh, with me, I got a fight. I got my first boxing fight. Yeah. Sunday. Shit's been good. No one's died. Albany's been crazy though. Oh, it's storms. Huge storm today. Wild. Um, what's going on in the world today? California is having fucking more wildfires, dude. Like, I've never seen one, so I can't really like appreciate it, I guess. But I kind of don't give a fuck, to be honest. I don't give a shit that California's on fire. I don't feel bad. They killed Biggie. I don't really give a shit. Um, yeah, dude, I don't really care. And it's like it's the biggest one that's ever been. Dude, every year it's the biggest one. Every single year it's new with you guys. Um, maybe I don't know. Prepare a little bit. Get your shit together. Stop letting Smokey the fucking Bear run the whole thing. So, what else? 66 people got shot this weekend in Chicago. Not all of those died, like five died or some shit, but 66 fucking people. That's a fucking lot, dude. Chicago's more of a war zone than the war that we're currently in. Isn't that nuts? Like over on the other side of the world, they're using like AKs and M4s and planes and drones and tanks and shit. And these guys are just out here with just fucking pistols and shit doing way more damage. Granted, it's per capita, I get that, but whatever. All right, let's get to it. Now, here's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the Battle of Verdun, uh, also known as Operation Judgment. And this is probably, sorry, having technical difficulties. Um, this is actually a really big war in World War One. This is in 1916. The war started in 1914. I think. I don't know. Um, I could go into why World War One is such a big deal, how it started. If you really look into it, it's almost like fate. The way it started with the whole Gabriel Princip shooting Archduke Ferdinand, the way it happened, the assassination attempt, and the plot, and then the plot failed, and then he sees himself in a sandwich shop and shoots him in the neck. Um, Wild. The whole thing is wild. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about the Battle of Verdun, Operation Judgment. All right. So the Germans and the Austrian Hungarians in World War One, they had they had supplied troops. They had a way to supply troops that set them apart from the Allied forces because they were really tactical and they would maneuver troops really, really well. By taking extra troops, they would take them from less threatened parts of, like the front, so like to take them away from the Russian side, and they'd move them to more threatened parts over at France. They got busy over there, and that whole time they're laying down railway, right? Which is a big deal. Um, that way they're getting supplies, water, food, ammunition, troops, everybody over there. They're getting everybody to the party when it needs to happen. And this is called interior motives, which is a great thing when the enemy is not prepared. Now, this is where that kind of switches. So, the leaders of the Allied forces were sick of this shit. They met at Chantel in France, And they finally were like, guys, enough. We need to start working together. This isn't going to work. So they unionized their forces and they decided to attack the Germans across different fronts all at once instead of at one point, which is a big deal. So there are interior motives, or whatever. It can't work because now they're hitting everywhere at once, and they thought with enough pressure they could break the line, and they would just rush in and fill up. Right? They'd rush in and Russian. They'd rush in, fill up the gap, and then just from the inside, just fuck them all up, plant bases and shit, and just fuck everybody up. Um, Really good tactic in war prior to this. So this war is really different, and a reoccurring theme, and he mentioned it, is this war had this is where technology meets manpower. This is where we have millions of people fighting, not just like in the last one we talked about, where there was a million people fighting and it was a big deal. Not even like a half million, and it was a huge deal. This is millions of people fighting at once, guys, at once. So this war is different than every other war prior. Um, this is the first point in history where they have amazing and daunting advances in history or in technology, but we have millions of people that operate that technology, so we can just fuck each other up, literally at the no end, like really, really, really fuck up towns and everything. And so this is why it's called the Great War. So Erich von Falkenhayn, that's a fucking name, dude. If I had that name, I'd fucking kill myself. Um, he was the chief of German staff during this time, which is like he's the commander of all the armies. And he had the idea, quote, to bleed France white. And the reason why the Germans are so obsessed with France in the beginning is because you look at geography. Germany and Austria are right here, right? Russia's up here, and France is over here. And so they're fighting two front battles. So you don't want to do that because then you're splitting your forces into two pieces, which isn't good. You never want to do that. So they're like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take like 9/10 of our army and we're gonna go invade France. And they came up with this magic number, like we have 950 something hours before the Russians mobilize. So it's like a month if you do it. So like if we can take France over in a month, then we can focus all our forces on Germany, or not Germany, on Russia. So we're like, this is flawless. We just win. So he wants to make a battle where he can force the French to use as many soldiers as possible, really make them throw numbers out, like uncomfortable amount of numbers, so they wouldn't have an army anymore. And he wanted to make a battle of attrition, right? Like who's gonna fall first, and like it goes to like the 10th or 12th round, and it's like who's gonna win? I'm really dragging you out here. So he figured he could lead France into this trap, right? Into this meat grinder at this place called Verdun, which is a pretty city if you look it up. It was, still is, I guess. And um, so what he does, he goes to the northeastern side of Verdun to the mountains, and he starts setting up camp, right? But again, this battle was made for as many people to die as possible on the French side. Like this is made to fuck people up. That's a weird war. So he's like, I don't give a shit. I want people to die. If France, so basically, this is what this means. If France lost at Verdun, they could win the war, but if they won at Verdun, they'd lose the war. If that makes sense, like because they would give up that many soldiers, and that's why it's like a really infamous, fucked up battle. It's just fucking crazy. That's why it caught my eye. So Napoleon, in like the 1800s, he would brag. Um, he would brag that he could lose 30,000 men in a month and still win wars. He would brag about that, right? Um, 'Cause that's a lot of guys, and his army was really big. That's why he was so good. In this war, though, in some battles, they lose 30,000 guys in a fucking day. In a day, that's like the population of Troy. Troy's like 50,000 people. I don't even think it's that many. That's nuts. That, like I can't imagine. Like imagine like you come home and like you have no neighbors. Like they're all dead. You're like, oh, like yeah, he died in the war. What the fuck? Or like if your neighbor had one fucking leg, dude. I'm sorry. All right, and this is gonna sound bad, but I'm doing this. Um, that makes you feel uncomfortable. People with without arms and legs and shit. And it's like I'm sorry. It's not your fault. You're a hero and everything, but it just makes you feel uncomfortable. Sorry, me having to look at your stump. Sorry. Um. Anyways, after this, right? Germany starts sending in. They just start sending in like trains, not like like a couple rail cars here and there, like full fucking trains into this fucking place, right? For 7 whole weeks, they would have trains back and forth every day, all day and night, just coming back for just dropping off shit, food, water, supplies, soldiers. They built repair shops, warehouses, makeshift hospitals. They were they were ready for this. They're bringing in earth moving equipment and shit to fucking make shit with. They were fucking ready. They were ready, right? They had they had a Paris gun, which all right, you want to talk about Paris gun real quick? What happens with this Paris gun? This gun is like 300,000 pounds. It shoots like a 2,000 pound artillery shell. I could be wrong. I probably am, but it's big, so big and so powerful. All right, that the world had never really seen anything like this before. It had to be shipped in piece by piece. They had to build a construction, like they had to build like a concrete slab to put it on. When you loaded it, you needed to back away 300 yards. You had to put cotton in your ears, your mouth, and your fucking nose, and cover your eyes. And when you shot this gun electronically, which is weird back then, I don't think of that, electronically. They'd shoot this, and you have to have your mouth open just so your fucking eardrums would explode. This thing is huge. This thing would, when they invaded Belgium, it would just fucking blow up bunkers, like entire. Wow, sorry, mother ass. Um, entire bunkers would just get fucking obliterated by just one shell, and then they just send in two more and just destroy the whole place. So big deal. They had about 30 long range 420 millimeter cannons, which is a big deal. They're huge too. 320 millimeter cannons, they're huge too. 105 millimeter cannons, which in Call of Duty Modern Warfare and the 1830, the biggest gun they have where you're just a bomb every time if you've ever played. It's fun. Is a 105 cannon. So that's a big deal. On top of that, they had thousands of troops, and a high morale. And France doesn't fucking notice this until like it's almost too late. Like, they don't notice it until like a week from the battle has started, like 3 weeks out. So it's like they can't. Like the Germans have been planning on this for months, 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 right? And then it's just like oh, we just found out about this. We have like one of our guys saw, and they didn't see before because Germany would put up with their planes. They had 150 planes, which is a big deal back then. Not now, but a big deal back then. They had 150 plane Air Force just for this, like prior to this battle, just to like ward off the French, spies and planes and shit on soldiers and whatnot to go see what's up on their side. They just blow them out of the sky. So France doesn't really know what's about to happen because they're about to get like fucked in like the best sense of the word. They're about to get like fucked hard. So battle starts. February 21st, 1960. Um, the Germans started firing at dawn, and they caught the French guys like by literally like they weren't even ready. They caught them by surprise. The French, there's like stories of them like they were fucking eating breakfast, they were drinking coffee, they were just waking up, and the Germans were like, nah, son. They just fucking destroyed them. So they just started lighting up like this. Like I looked online, it's like a 20-mile by 5-mile stretch of land, which sounds big, you know, but not on a map. All right. So when the Germans started firing, they were firing all day and stuff. They 2 million rounds. If you're like 2 million bullets being fired, how long would it take you? It would take you a while, right? Like if you heard like 2 million rounds going off in like a month, that's a lot. Like 2 million. That's a lot of bullets. And if you just heard that all the time, imagine 2 million rounds of artillery in 6 days. Um, in 6 days, guys, that's like 144 hours, right? That's not even a fucking week. You have 2 million artillery rounds. 2 million. You hear explosions like you hear like 5 seconds. That's basically what that means. You hear like a lot. It's not fun. It's not fun. That math is wrong. By the way, I'm super stoned. I'm really really big. Um. So they fired 2 million rounds in the first 6 days. After that, they fired 2 million more in the following 12. So it didn't like stop; it just kept going, right? So picture this, right? Like this one plot of land got hit with 80,000 rounds in 5 days. Guys, guys, no, I'm sorry, in one day. Um, do you understand what that fucking means? That entire time, dude. In one day, 80,000 rounds, there's 86,000 seconds in a day. So that means there's almost one a second. They just kept going. Almost one a second, guys. Of those, these guns would fucking make holes in the earth that were 40 feet deep, 30 feet deep, straight down. Not like in the movies where they're like arched out, just straight down. It's hard to dig a hole, guys. It takes a lot of work. Digging work with an excavator takes a lot of work too. But to do that instantly, you gotta have a lot of fucking force. I can't even like wrap my head around this. It's just so wild. It's just so fucking much. So they would shoot in this like rectangular patch of land, they'd shoot like in a wave. They just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And just to make every foot was fucking decimated, right? And they weren't, they're shooting toxic gas, they're shooting high explosive rounds, they're shooting shrapnel rounds, they're shooting, everything. Everything just to fucking burn this place down. Literally, like, you guys understand? Like, this place is churned. There's a forest here. Imagine there's a forest there and then there's not. And it's just churned into just like this gray mulch with just twisted metal and burnt buildings and dead bodies everywhere. I'm reading Dante's Inferno right now, and this sounds a lot like it. Like fucking Dante's Inferno is like this guy has this crazy fucking dream. I think it's like an acid trip, personally, but it's like a dream. He says, and he goes to hell. And there's 7 layers to hell, and there's like more than 7 if you read it. Like there's 7, but it's fucking there's like 20. Um, and he did like there's some parts in that book where it just gets scary, and this is what this sounds like. It sounds like this. That's all he could describe. He's like, he was sailing across the river Styx in Dante's Inferno, to get to the gate of hell, and this fucking guy who's driving the boat is taking the oar and pushing these fucking bodies off of the fucking boat. These zombie bodies that are just like pleading and begging to like help me out of the water, like because they're in internal suffering. And he's just shoving them off, and that's kind of how this is. People are dead. You're running, right? Imagine you're running back to your fucking base or like your encampment. I don't know where you're gonna run during this shit. But you're running, and all of a sudden your friends are just getting blown up all next to you, and they're like, yeah, Alex, wait for me, please come get me, my leg's gone. What did we talk about earlier with stumps? Nah, nigga, I'm not coming back for you. I'm sorry. Sorry. In that situation, I wouldn't know what to. Who does know what to do? That's never happened ever in the history of the world, right? We're just like, except when the meteors came 65 million years ago, where just shit's just raining out of the sky and you're just running for your life. And I just couldn't imagine it, you know? But yeah, no, I don't think I'd go back to that person, to be honest. I don't think I would. Um, so just imagine, like, there's holes, there's these fucking mortar holes that are, like, 30 feet deep, 20 feet deep, or they're blown in at weird angles and shit, and there's just holes everywhere. They would send people in the night to go get everybody that's wounded, all the casualties and everybody. Or they'd send, front parts people to, like, switch out, every shift. And there's stories of people just falling into these holes and dying. If it rained, they'd fill up with water, and then the person would drown in that fucking water. Do you know what the water is, by the way? It's dirt, it's clay, mold, uh, disgusting, disgusting groundwater that is just covered in like an explosive and fucking blood shit. And let's go back to that toxic gas, that mustard gas. The mustard gas isn't like a vapor, like in the movies. It's more of like a pollen. So once like it rained, it would like actually just run with the water, and it'd be in the water, and you could see it. So you can't drink that water, right? And if you fall into it, you drown into it, then you're really dead. But there's stories of people, running out of water on the front. Like, what am I going to do? And they drink that water, and they know what's in it, but they're like, I don't have anything else to drink. I'm not drinking my pee again. Fuck it. They drink that shit. They die. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like you would think like they would have at least water. They have all this shit. They don't even have water. This is nuts. So after like this, like a couple hours of firing, right? Or they fucking some allotted time, the Germans stop firing, right? And that usually means that they're going to send people in. The Germans would. They would send in troops to cover the ground they just fucked up. So the French that are still alive were like, hey guys, um, let's go attack and defend again. Let's just run across this, all this hole and the mulch and the dead bodies and this burning wasteland. Let's run back across this, cover it, and make sure the Germans don't take it, right? Yeah, that's what you would do. You'd go take back the ground that you lost. So the French all ran out there, and the Germans were like, it's like, nigga. They started shooting again with his artillery and just caught him and just killed so many people. They just caught him. And again, like imagine how stupid you would feel. Imagine just that minute when you're like that lieutenant who ordered that shit. And you're like, all right, we're here, man. We're here. Let's defend this. And all of a sudden you hear boom, and it's just like you just see like that shell, that huge fucking 2,000 pound shell just coming and just boom, just hit over the ridge. You're like, oh, and then you just hear this, you hear it all start again, and you're like, oh, like we fucked up. Just that minute of just you fucking up. I just would love to see his face. I'd love to see everybody's face in that second where you realize, oh fuck, we fucked up. Um, and the Germans, slowly took it over, and the German Air Force really fucked up. The French basically just had to go underground, like moles, like mole people for like 6 days. For 6 days, like it was just shit. It was just shit life, and you didn't know really if you're gonna live or die. You were pretty sure you were gonna live, but it was just rough. Um, I just couldn't imagine this fucking shit. Like they were firing so many rounds that trees would blow up and they'd come down, but before they hit the ground, they'd go back up. Like that's how often they were firing these whole trees, guys, trees. They're so massive. They're so big. A tree fell in my fucking road today, and I had to fucking drag a branch. Did it was just a big branch. I dragged it, and it took everything in me to drag that branch like 4 feet, let alone blow it 90 feet into the fucking sky. I don't know. It's crazy. It's wild, you know. And I don't know how many fucking people died. To be honest, a lot. It's not the bloodiest battle World War One, but it's like top three. And this battle drags all the way to like December 16th. Like so, this starts in February and it goes all year, right? I just couldn't imagine it, but fuck, whatever. I don't know. What are we at? I don't know how long we've been recording, to be honest. But I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna keep talking about this. So this battle kind of failed, um, because you know how the Germans wanted to kill as many French as they could. Well, they did. They killed a lot, but just as many Germans died. So like they won and they didn't win. So like again, the French didn't win the battle, so they didn't lose the war, but they didn't lose it either, so they didn't win. They didn't win the war. Um, Bad to be friends, but um, there's still sites today in France and near Verdun where you can't go into for another 400 years because it's just too toxic. There's just so much shit, so much mustard gas and everything. There's just cars and tanks and planes and shit. It's covered with nature, covered with trees and shit, and it's gonna be like that for another 500 years because that's how fucked up it is. That's how fucked up people are, dude. That we create shit that doesn't go away. Like how crazy is that? Like it doesn't. Oh, like it's not like oh it happened. No, like it stays there, festers and shit. I don't know. 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 I couldn't imagine this war zone. I could. I try and wrap my head around it, and like they try and like depict it as best they can. But guys, this is like hell. It's as real as it fucking gets. War is not pretty, and I mean, I'm not at all saying this war that we have is fucking, easy by any means. All the veterans are doing a huge sacrifice, all the active soldiers right now, but it was just different back then. This is a whole different war. This is everybody's dying at once. Everybody's dying all the time, and it's just like whole towns back home with like your entire battalion and all your friends and everything from like your hometown or at least your area dead, dead. Oh yeah, like every 17 to 22-year-old man from fucking Amsterdam, New York is dead. Or like there's like 10 left. Good luck, ladies. Have fun. It's just wild. And fucking 6 days, this whole forest is gone, guys. A forest. You ever seen like fucking Axemen on History Channel? Like these guys, it takes them to cut down like 10 trees. Takes them fucking like an hour, or like it takes them hours to cut down like the trees and weeks to cut down entire forests. These guys did it in 6 fucking days without a chainsaw. Without a chainsaw, they were just blowing shit up. It's wild, but all right, guys. Good second podcast. I'll keep putting them up because many people like them. I hope I like them. It interests me. Um, like and subscribe. Of course, I know a lot of you guys watch this when you're fucked up, but if I can get money and I don't have to work, I can make more of these. So, all right.